Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to virtuousbyveronica.com. I am Veronica, and thank you again for stopping by. So today we are going to talk about none other than Mr. Kanye West. Now, Kanye has been trending over the last week or two because he recently put out a new album that he called Jesus is King, and he also declared that he no longer serves his ego or the devil, and he is now a servant for Jesus Christ. Believe it or not, this has caused quite the controversy. You have one hand saying that Kanye West is just completely off of his rocker, and then you have Christians and people who claim to be spiritual saying that there is no way that Kanye is legit at this moment. What are my thoughts on this situation? I'm with Kanye on this one. For the record, I never thought Kanye West was crazy. Well, maybe back in the day when he was doing all of that weird stuff with Jay-Z, but when he was starting to expose things at concerts and when he was institutionalized, my first thoughts weren't that he was a threat to himself or society. I initially thought to pray for him because he seemed like a man who was waking up. Fast forward to today, and it's like night and day. I've watched interview after interview with Kanye explaining the change that has happened within him, and I am just completely blown away. Like, some of the things that I have heard and watched have literally brought tears to my eyes, which really made me want to speak out on this because I've seen so many people who also have walks with God kind of throwing water on the fire, and I'm like, why? I get it. Before the opposition chimes in, I get it that the Bible says to use discernment, and that in the last days there's going to be deceivers and false prophets, and all of that is true. But one thing that I think a lot of church people are forgetting is that in the last days it also says that God's Spirit is going to pour out into his sons and daughters. And when I watch Kanye West speak about what has happened to him over the last few years, he sounds like a man that has truly had some type of encounter with a higher power, with God. It says you will know them by their fruits. And listening to Kanye and listening to him keep giving credit to not just a higher power, not just God, but to Jesus Christ, it's like, how can you even argue with that? One thing that really stood out to me with Kanye when he did one of his interviews is he talked about how lonely it is being delivered. He talked about how when he decided to give his life to God again, the people that he's hanging around think he's weird, so he like can't fit in with that circle, and then Christians are doubting him, so it's like he can't get in with them either. And it's like, I relate to that in a way. I remember when I first launched Virtuous by Veronica, I thought that people in the church leaders, I thought would maybe reach out to me, provide me with some counsel, maybe mentor me, but that never happened. And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with not getting the support I thought I was gonna get if I was going to be obedient to God. And I feel like that is exactly what Kanye is doing. People can say he's doing this for the money or he's doing it to be popular again, but if you really think about it, Christianity is not the popular choice in 2019. Like, who's Christian these days? Who really believes in God, let alone Jesus Christ anymore? Like, if you wanted to be a popular again, there were plenty other avenues that he could take. When I watched the performances, like I watched an interview on BigBoyTV, and then I also watched this karaoke performance that he did on a plane. I will post a link in the description box because it just melted my heart when I watched that. Like, it brought tears to my eyes. Like, I could really feel the spirit, and I'm like, how can anyone go against this? Yes, have discernment. Yes, be wise and keep your eyes open, but don't live your life in paranoia. I've been saying this for a while, but I've always felt like Christians needed to redefine their platform, because I feel over the last decade or so, we have really started to be silenced. We can't live in our truths and what we believe the same way that everybody else can. And with Kanye making this stand, with him willing to be out here taking all of the smoke for Jesus Christ, I think that is a beautiful thing, and it's opening the doors for conversation. Relevant Magazine just reported that there has been an increase in Google search for the term Christianity. Like, people want to know more. Something that stuck out to me in the interview that Kanye did on Big Boy TV was when he talked about how people might come for the music when they hear about his new album, but they very well might leave with salvation. And I heard the album, I listened to it, and I believe it. Like, there's so many different people and personalities out there. Everyone can't be ministered to in the exact same way. And I really feel like that's the reason why us as spiritual people aren't progressing, is because we can give the same message, but we can give it in different ways. The same way that you give it to one person isn't gonna necessarily apply to another person. And I really feel like Kanye is reaching people who need to receive the message in this type of package. I think it's amazing, and I'm not putting I know this may sound like I'm putting all my faith in Kanye, and I'm really not. I could be wrong, but I'm praying that I'm not. I am not going to live in paranoia. I am going to consider this a blessing, and I'm not going to block anybody else's blessing. I just want everyone to kind of re-examine themselves before they examine Kanye. When I look at the situation, all I can think is, look at God. Like, how can you say that you believe God is almighty, but you don't believe that he can save Kanye West, a human being? I'm really rooting for him. I am praying for him. I am thinking about other things. Like, he is married to Kim Kardashian, who was probably in the most famous family in America. And could you imagine if the spirit that's in Kanye transfers to Kim? Like, God is so powerful. Like, you don't know what can happen with this. And I wanted to take the time to talk about this with you guys today, and just to get people to start thinking about your objections. I want you to think about what the problem is that you have with Kanye now. And also examine your faith. If you really believe that God is almighty, then why don't you think that he can save someone like Kanye? So, do I think Kanye is going to be a saint from here on out? Absolutely not. I believe that since he made this declaration, things are going to get tougher for him, because he does live in a glass house where it is easy to throw stones. But what if you lived in a glass house as well? None of us are perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. It is a never-ending journey to God. Virtuous by Veronica is my platform, but I am still a work in progress. Every day I'm learning new things. Every day I'm getting closer to God, and every day I'm still asking for forgiveness for things that I've done. I think the same applies to Kanye, and the same applies to you. So at this time, I am hoping that all of us people, all of us spiritual folks who really desire to have and maintain a relationship with God will just surround Kanye, send him our prayers, send his family our prayers, because he needs it. And rather than doubt and put negative energies into the atmosphere, I really want us to pray that he be blessed. If you visit virtuousbyveronica.com, I, per usual, have an in-depth post that I wrote out about this topic, so be sure to check that out. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that follow button to subscribe to my website. And if you're watching from YouTube, the red subscription button at the bottom right will get you an alert anytime I post a new video. And also be sure to leave me your comments, because I really want to know how you guys feel about this subject. Do you agree with me, or do you have a completely different opinion? Also, let me know if you have checked out the Jesus is King album. I definitely have my favorites. I love the intro. I like Sila and Follow God. I think my absolute favorite would probably have to be his remake to God Is. Let me know what you think. Also, if you were on YouTube and you want to take things a step further, make sure you thumbs up, aka like this video, because every time you do, it lets YouTube know that you're enjoying my content, and it will feature it for other viewers to see. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will see you in my next video.